Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Nicole and Azan on 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, Season 3, I believe, The Tell-All. So let's watch the show and see if anything of interest comes out of my face.
So that you are able to talk to Nicole whenever she wanted you to be there for her. Is that correct?
When I meet Nicole, I had a job, like working at night as manager in a cafe. Like I keep like talking to her, texting her all the time. So I lost that job.
Well, that's excuses.
I remember when me started talking, in the beginning, I had my job. I work like only speaking the night, like 10 or 11.
Right, so from the beginning, it's been a bit of an interesting detail that Azan has not had a job. And there's been all these questions about that, particularly from Nicole's family. Nicole doesn't seem to be bothered by it. She seems to be confident that his excuses or his motivation to be employed once he comes to the United States is robust enough for her to trust him. But anyway, it's been a question, and it seems as though, because this is now, I think, the third season that they've been on the show, that for years now, Azan has not had a job. And his excuse has been this, that when he first started to date Nicole, they were texting all the time, so he lost his job because he was texting all the time. That's possible. I could see that happening. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean your employment is completely a desert after that. You could get another job and maybe make some decisions about when you text so you don't lose a job, that kind of thing. I don't know the economy in his town. Maybe it's really hard to get a job. I don't know if he thought he was going to move to the United States very quickly and just said, well, why get a job when I'm about to go to the States and I'll get a job when I get there. I don't know if he is being supported by other people. Obviously, Nicole is sending him money. But my impression is Nicole isn't that rich, so I can't imagine her sending that much money to him such that he doesn't need a job at all. I think Azan lives with his parents, so maybe that's a factor. I don't know. There's a lot of shame that we'll put on people, particularly men, when they don't have a job. And, it's a personal choice that you could make. You could just be like, you know what? I don't feel like getting a job right now. And we shouldn't be judging that. It's not a sound choice if you're trying to build a future or if you're trying to earn money enough so that you can get a visa, these kinds of things. But it's a choice that people can make.
Our time to talk at night.
Okay, so somebody's got to make some money. Nicole, you guys are not married yet. How long do you plan to stay in Morocco?
As of right now, I plan to stay for over a year.
Okay.
Till he can get, hopefully, a spousal visa to come to America.
So, Azan, do you plan on not working for an entire year?
No, he's working on getting a job now while he's been doing a little bit of work here and there.
It ain't that tough.
So I like that guy's comment. It ain't that tough. Do you live in Morocco? I don't know. Now, maybe it isn't that tough to get a job in his town. But, the other possibility here, and I've been building this hypothesis over this season, and I haven't mentioned it yet, which is that Azan seems to have some immaturities about him, some youthfulness about him, and maybe getting a job is a part of that. When you look at a 13-year-old, they don't typically sign up to get a job right away. Some 13-year-olds do. I had a job when I was 13, but a lot of 13-year-olds are like, you know what, if I can get by without having to get a job, I would rather not get a job. So Azan seems to have that kind of vibes, that kind of persona where he seems very youthful. Like if I didn't have the markers of his dress and the way he looks and his facial hair to gauge his age, and if I just heard the way he talked and the lifestyle that he had, I would probably take a guess and say that he was about 15 years old. When he was texting these other women, even though him and Nicole were engaged, it seemed like a childish act. It seemed like the act of a person who didn't really understand how it might impact other people, didn't really understand that these other women might actually reach out to Nicole. I mean, because he was leaving voicemails, recorded voicemails for these other people that they could send to Nicole. When he was caught, he seemed to be very shy, and he would smile about it like the way a teenager might, in the way that they might say, like, yeah, it was a funny moment, instead of saying, like, wait a second, I'm a grown man who was engaged to get married to a woman who has a child. I'm on a reality TV show. The mother is grilling me right now. And it's this shy little funny moment, the way a kid might approach it. I don't know, but he definitely gives off that vibe. Now, I'm not saying that there's something broken about him. There's plenty of mid-20s people who have, I guess, what I might call a youthful persona. There's pros and cons to that. You know, the pro side is you're still, I don't know, innocent in some ways, and the con side is you lack responsibility and the ability to mentalize or understand what other people are going through and how your behavior impacts other people. I think I'm getting cat hair on my face right now. It's possible that his approach to employment is also that of a younger person, where he is thinking, well, I don't want to work because working is annoying. And since people are paying my bills, you know, I'd just rather put that off. I'll get a job tomorrow, that kind of attitude. You'll see 15-year-olds do that when their parents pressure them, or a 17-year-old. They'll just be like, yeah, I'll get a job for sure. Absolutely. I'm on it. But they don't really go full bore into trying to get a job or the way an adult might do it. Again, I don't know what the economy is like in his area. I don't know what sort of jobs he's qualified to have. I don't know his mindset. So let's continue watching.
Nicole and Azan, have you gotten your paperwork to get married?
Yes.
You have. So how soon will the wedding be?
Hopefully in the next few weeks.
Nicole, if you get married with this guy and you actually can make it here together, what are y'all gonna do when he gets here?
Like working, as people do, like working.
All right, so I think this guy has a very common question that a lot of people would have. That is, I think, the effect of both of them. So not only is Azan having what I'm calling a youthful persona or a youthful personality, Nicole definitely does as well. We've talked about that quite a bit. Even when she is at her mature level, she's still kind of at a youthful personality approach. And I think that might be why they fit so well together, why they have fallen in love and decided to be with each other for so long, because they're very compatible in that way. They seem to actually love each other in a youthful way as well. Again, nothing wrong with that. There's pros and cons. So when the fella asked the question, he's just like, okay, when you come to the United States, that's the end goal. What do the two of you plan on doing? And Azan, what sort of career are you going to have? And Azan, I think, given his youthful attitude, hasn't really thought about that very much. And his response is that of a younger person. He says, like working, as people do, like working. That's the answer of a child, right? An adult would say, okay, well, I have skills in this area. I've looked into this. I'm already talking to people in the United States about maybe working at this sort of thing. Or maybe another thing would be like, well, I plan on working, but maybe going to school to learn a trade because I've always wanted to do this, or I don't know, just some kind of statement along those lines. Not his response, which is, oh, well, I'm going to like working, like adults do. I'll be an adult and I'm going to work. It's not a elaborate answer. Now, Azan and Nicole are entitled to have their youthful, shall we say, naive point of view about careers. It's none of our business for us to judge that. It's up to them. They can crash and burn in their career if they want to, and they'll learn. And I suspect that Azan will learn.
But you're not.
Azan, when you come over here to the States with Nicole, you are confident that you'll be able to find a job and help support her?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
I haven't heard anything that you're working, and that's not going to be easy to find in America either.
Yeah, I know it's not too easy finding here.
Yeah, like when you first get here, you're gonna be washing dishes probably.
Yeah, so he'll be washing dishes. I was washing dishes when I was 22 with a bachelor's degree. There's nothing wrong with starting at the bottom and working your way up. Yeah, I get why the other couples are a little worried and a little judgmental and seem to be kind of laughing at him a little bit, but you know, I think we all start somewhere, and I guess Azan's going to start where he starts.
Okay, Nicole and Azan, time now to talk about those voice recordings They have hit roadblock after roadblock when it comes to getting married. And just when they thought they had it all figured out, new information came out, leaving Nicole questioning their relationship.
Good morning, I'm sleepy. But I guess, I don't know. The kiss was good. I think you want it.
Okay, so you see Azan's face. This might be the first time he's even heard these. And my hypothesis or my gauge on him, which is a total speculation, is that given his youthful, speculation that he has a youthful personality, he seems to, but I'd have to ask him and ask people around him about that to confirm it, that he, when he did these sorts of things, these prank calls, but I think he also called them flirting, that he just was thinking the way a younger person would think, in a way that doesn't understand the consequences to their actions. It's one of the definitions of being a child, really, is that you just don't really understand the consequences of your actions very well. And you also are thinking about how funny it is. And Azan has frequently had what, if you just saw that little picture where he just bursts out laughing. And I think, again, it just has to do with that youthful personality. There's another possibility that he actually has trouble with empathy, but it doesn't look that way. It looks like just youthful empathy, meaning not fully developed empathy. I don't know. Let's rewind that and watch his face again.
Good morning, I'm sleepy. But I guess, I don't know. The kiss was good. I think you want it. Hello?
Hassan, why are there recordings of your voice?
So it's hard to know what's going on in Azan's head as he's listening back to this, but he had this embarrassment and a big smile, maybe remembering what he was doing back then. He seems to consider these memories to be funny to him. And then he suddenly realized, oh, that's right, I have a spouse here, a partner who was going to be hurt by that. So you saw him kind of reach out to maybe console Nicole, and then he was like, well, maybe that's not a good idea. And then he's like, okay, I need to have my serious face. I don't know. I'm inserting a lot of thoughts into his head, but it just seemed that way. Anyway, let's continue watching.
Talking to other women. It's undescribably your voice. Do you think that's okay? You can call a girl saying that I want to kiss you? That I missed your kiss?
So I feel bad for Nicole to have to live through this again. That's pretty awful. And again, you see that Azan is smiling. What does that smile mean? It's hard to know. Again, I hope for Nicole's sake that it's a youthful empathy smile, meaning that he hasn't fully developed his ability to really understand how he's affecting other people, and that he will develop it in the upcoming years. That's what I'm hoping for Nicole's sake it is, because it is an interesting smile, or just an embarrassment smile. Maybe on the inside he really does have a deep empathy for Nicole, but it's just terribly embarrassing to him, and so he's smiling in that moment. There are other possibilities too, like he's a psychopath, but I don't know. There's not a lot of evidence that he's a psychopath. I mean, I suppose there's some evidence that, meaning that psychopathy, meaning antisocial personality, meaning what the internet often calls sociopathy, meaning that you're essentially a person that doesn't have the normal capacity for empathy for other people, that you don't really care, that you can easily just hurt someone's feelings and just not really think anything of it. He doesn't seem like that sort of person, but the behavior that we've seen is consistent, at least with, if you have 50 different check boxes of the behaviors that you're going to look for to conceptualize someone as having antisocial personality or psychopathic personality disorder. That would be one of the 50 boxes. The callous nature in which he was flirting with other women, making recordings, the callous nature of his smile right now, But, he seems to have empathy in other contexts. But I don't know. I mean, I'd have to know him much better. I'd have to assess him. I'd have to ask people around him what he's like. But anyway, let's continue watching.
I thought you were committed to me. I'm about to come to Morocco to be with you. Why did you do that?
All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Thanks for joining me out there. Please take care of yourself and take care of others because we all deserve it. We really, really do.